Do you guys want me to continue with the fantasy puns for the month of February being Valentine's Day themed? Because we've done a lot of vampire ones, and I feel like I have been bled dry. We've also done tons of skeleton ones as well, and I'm just running out of bones to pick. What's going on, YouTube? In just a few short days, February 20th, the Impresario is going to be back, but this time it's special because every event, the Impresario is a little bit different. You can see that the little assistant next door, sometimes his items rotate as well. But this time, for Mid-Year Mayhem, there's going to be rewards in there that are pretty cracked. And what I mean by that is there are ones that are tens of millions of gold. In fact, some of the most valuable style pages in the entire game can be purchased from this vendor, but there's a couple catches, which, spoiler alert, you get it in a random grab bag. But that doesn't mean that we can't do some tips and tricks to try to boost our odds. And in case you've never seen it, we are talking about ESO's Whitestrakes Mayhem. Now, do not panic. A lot of you are like, Jake, I see where this is going. I see you recommending PvP content in my future. And technically, you can avoid that if you're interested. Don't worry, I will teach you how. But the very heads and tails of this simple event is that from February 20th to March 4th, pretty much every PvP activity, Cyrodiil Imperial City Battlegrounds, is boosted. Now, we're talking specifically about the event tickets, because the event tickets for this event are goated. But you can see there's some other good, bonuses as well, including Telvar Alliance points, XP from kills and PvP, double yields from Cyrodiil in the Imperial City, and you can see here how to get involved in the event, but notably, you can get event tickets in this event, and you may have event tickets from your last event. You can get 2 event tickets by completing a Cyrodiil Battlegrounds quest. Just do the scouting mission. A lot of you guys out there are like, Jake, I don't want it. You can't make me go to Cyrodiil. Just do the scouting mission. You just take your little horse all the way over to the, the area, and you just like write a little notepad. You're like, yep, there's 4 people guarding this flag, because that's how many AI spawn on the flag. And then you just walk back. And the next one you can do is 1 event ticket per day for the Imperial City. So you can do 3 per day. Also, good suggestion, Imperial City quests are oftentimes either really packed or just completely desolate. And so you can actually do those ahead of time. You guys right now could do 7 Imperial City daily quests and just be ready to turn them in. Nobody's in the Imperial City right now. You could just turn them in. Nobody's there farming. It's like go kill 4 Ogrins, in the blah 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 district. Super easy. 3 event tickets. But notably, the event tickets from this event are actually kind of special. So you can see here, yes, there's going to be a new style, a new, page. You can get some all new stuff. But we are focused on is the Bags of Glory. So, yes, you'll be able to get the fragments from the new stuff, the pet. You'll be able to get some fragments for the customizable action. You'll be able to get the new style, which admittedly does look pretty cool. You can buy that with gold. But also, the Bags of Glory. What is a Bag of Glory? Well, the Bag of Glory is all of the previous year's stuff in a curated drop for you for 2 event tickets. Now, that might sound tantalizing. That's because it is. So, if you're following along, 2 event tickets to buy a Bag of Glory. You can get 3 per day, and it's curated. You will get something that you don't own. That's what's important, because if you were just getting random gobbledygook, well, you don't need any gobbledygook. You need curated good items, and that's where the strategy comes into play, because you know that you're guaranteed to get some of these items. But here's the special part, is you can buy these items right now super cheaply, or you're going to see other people listing them for very cheaply. And you can basically get yourself a curated drop. It's almost like completing a sticker book to get a specific drop from a dungeon. You can do the same thing with your Bags of Glory. We're going to talk about some styles that you definitely want to make sure that you're looking for, definitely ones that you want to purchase. So we're going to be using another resource, Tamriel Trade Center, where we can price check all of these items. That way we know, well, which ones of these are good. Because if you've not played previous PvP events, then you might not know. And because the PvP events just have really good styles and they're not usually as farmed as much as some of the other events like the Jester's event, these styles maintain great value. But again, though, these ones will be bound to you. So you're not making money, unfortunately. Now, there's tons of other ways to make money during Mid-Year Mayhem. We could talk about that. Alliance points, Telvar, you can farm the wandering bosses to get style pages. etc., etc. This is going to be focused on saving you millions because the most valuable motif pages are literally right here. Now, the very first one is the Sancretor Sentry one. Now, you might think, okay, Jake, this looks like a pretty good banger, but here's the problem is one, the banger has no listings. But if you were to check another price checker app, this being Tamriel Savings, you'll see that it's actually really not worth that much, but everybody right now is now just absorbing them off of the market. So just keep that in mind that some of these, other people are trying to manipulate their RNG by doing a similar method of taking them off the market. Now, this is just the PC market. So PlayStation, where it's a lot harder, there's no add-ons. That's like, quick, go over here. You can buy the style page for cheaply. Usually you can flip items and find, items listed in, Outlaws, Refuges very cheaply. It's a lot harder to do that, for example, on PC where there's really no hiding. But Sancretor is definitely one that you want to buy if you can get it for a few thousand, because that's all it's worth. Next one is Legion Zero. Now, unlike Legion, Zero, unlike the previous one, there's still no trades listed on PC, but you'll notice that this one is significantly more expensive. Its range was 100,000 to 1.5 million. I pulled up a random piece. I tried to pick the more expensive ones, but this is also on console. This is Xbox prices, which is kind of crazy. So when it comes to these, this is Legion Zero is actually one that you're probably hoping that you actually get from the box. You can see here, this is what it looks like. It kind of honestly looks just like some of the Battleground styles. Maybe that's just me, but it definitely does have some cool pieces. That chest piece does have a lot of value to it, especially on how you can dye it. The next one we have is Legion Zero with a V afterwards for Vendetta. Now, these ones are in this weird price range of like sometimes worth buying if you see them, sometimes decent if you were to actually just roll for them. For example, like, some of these are running, near average of 100,000. Some of them are running in the millions, and then some of them are running in the tens of thousands. So this one is one that's just all over the place in value, and it's really due to the fact that there's not a lot of listings for this one. So this is one that's kind of like up in the air. If you're on console, this is definitely one that you can find a lot cheaper. Definitely one that you probably want to purchase, especially because the style, it looks okay, in my opinion, but it's a little bit cattywampus. It's not really, doesn't look too different than its predecessor. And the helmet I think is cool, but the other pieces, it's like, where's the leg protection? What about my cankles? Then we have Second Legion, which I want you to think in your mind if this one looks expensive or not. 3, 2, 1. It actually is very expensive. You can see this one runs in the millions. So this is one that if you're like, Jake, I got a Second Legion piece, you're like, ooh, banger. That's a good money saver, because this one is usually in the millions. Just look at the chest piece. Now, looking at this chest piece, it does look very unique, and I think that's why it's so valuable. You don't really see a whole lot of ESO chainmail, so that's why it's worth a ridiculous amount of money. Next up, we have our banners, which normally banners don't sell for very much, and they do, unfortunately. So 946,000, and this is for the Daggerfall Covenant one, which granted I would hope is the most valuable one, but it's not. So I'm not going to fact check and embarrass myself. Just note that if you do get this one, you're saving yourself a lot of gold. You might be able to find these for cheaper. When these first came out, they were not nearly this expensive. So especially if you play on console, people are probably selling these a lot cheaper. You can also get the staff version of it too, which also runs you for a lot of gold. Now you'll notice you're probably thinking to yourself, Jake, I'm not feeling very enthusiastic, because if I go out and buy a lot of these things, I am going to be bankrupt. But here's the thing, right? Even if you can't manipulate your odds a lot, think about how much you are saving in value. Like, just getting a Second Legion piece is worth millions of gold. Granted, you can't resell it, but as a collector, a completionist, just knowing that you're wearing a piece of armor that's worth a lot of gold is just, I think, really cool, in my opinion. Same concept with the shields. You can get these actually a lot cheaper, only in the millions, the low million. And you can see they look just exactly how you'd imagine them to. And now here's our title card, Ebon Steel Night Caress. If you get this bad boy, you have just saved yourself 64 million gold doubloons. That is a ton of savings. And you can see here, this is all that it looks like. Isn't it crazy how sometimes the rarest items don't even retain the most amount of value? It's just funny how I find that, like, it's not always just the attractiveness of a style. Sometimes it's just the rarity of a style that leads to its value. Now, granted, it does have a little cool piece, going on in the back. Little nice little headrest for yourself. That does look pretty cozy. But yeah, this is where you'd be saving yourself this much gold if you get any of these pieces, and that's a lot of savings. Now, one that is a little bit more affordable, we have the Black Drake clan wrap style. That's able to be purchased, but we also have the war paints. That is also able to be gained, but that's significantly more expensive. Now, again, you can see the jerkin, which is, your nice little chest piece, for the chesticles. That is going to be a little bit more expensive. But some of these other pieces, like 198,000, 155,000, much more affordable. Even the legs, 433,000, still significantly cheaper. Or if you're like, Jake, I'm overwhelmed. Just think though, even if you're like, Jake, I can't go out and spend 91,000 gold on a sash, you still can at least, if you get one, it's like, okay, this is still worth 91,000 gold for 2 event tickets. Granted, again, not resellable, but it's still, you have the value of that item because now you don't have to go out and purchase it, and you can now use it if you wanted to, or just, be a collectible guy. Next up, we have our 2 battle scarred pieces. Ignore the thing at the top up there. 2.4 million, 3.6 million. A little expensive on the rune box side. Now, one that you can definitely afford to just price out is definitely House Dufort. This one is very cheap, from 45,000 to 28,000, 72,000. Even the chest piece, the big main centerpiece, is only 100,000 gold, which is kind of weird because, like, I actually think the style looks pretty good. Like, it's unique in the sense of, like, you don't see a whole lot of these, but doesn't retain a lot of its value, unfortunately. Or fortunately, if you're like, Jake, I needed a cheap one to go out and buy so my RNG would improve for these other ones. That is also the same for the Tools of Domination. Very cheap comparatively. Some of them are expensive, such as the Great Sword, but you can see even some hooligans were out there selling it for 32,000 gold. So you can still flip a lot of these items for very cheaply, and they look fine, but I think the problem is people are really focused on armor pieces, not necessarily as much as weapons when it comes to the ESO market. That's also reflected of the final one with his Gloom Sedge. Now, again, they look fine, but like, it is a newer one. A lot of people farm this one, and to be fair, I actually think it gives you like a ninja vibe. Like, you don't see a whole lot of masks like this, in this day and age. But like, if you have a nice looking character, you probably want to show off a little hair. Like, you guys go out and buy these nice haircuts, get these nice little hairstyles just to cover it up with this like ninja looking mask. Like, come on now. So if this one doesn't retain a lot of its value, this is definitely one that you could go out and flip. Again, some of the pieces are worth more, 101,000, example average for the boots. For some reason, why are the boots so much? I guess all right, for some reason, these boots they do have really cool dye areas. I think that's got to be why. But a lot of these other ones, like the braces, the guards, even the jack, just not really worth as much in value. Even the helmet, which is very unique. Not nearly as much as it could be. Although I will say an average of 119,000 is still pretty high, but it's got a weird range of 8,000 to 500,000. And it appears to confirm that the actual style pages will be dropping from the Bags of Glory for things that used to require fragments. That might seem like a small thing, but you just don't want to be rolling for fragments when you already own something. Now, if there is an update to that, I will definitely update you guys. But overall, this is really the key piece of it, is you just want to manipulate your rewards by buying the cheap ones, and then you can only roll for the expensive ones. Imagine, even though, again, you can't resell it, but imagine knowing you own a chess piece that's worth 68 million gold. That's a pretty baller one to use. And in a game like ESO, which encourages multiple characters for multiple, daily quest rewards, writ rewards, with how individualized your characters feel, it's just really cool to have really expensive styles. So I hope this was helpful. And now you guys know which styles to focus on. We looked at the ones, obviously, style-wise, cost-wise, and this will be linked in the description below if you want to go look at this webpage. And we'll be doing some other guides too, like how to profit off this event, which, spoiler, just breaks down to getting a bunch of PvP, AP and Telvar. Some other quick fire tips for those of you who dislike PvP. Let's pretend you just completed your scout mission. You're like, oh my gosh, now I have to run all the way back. It's so dangerous, Jake. I hate it. Well, just go down to campaigns, go to the Imperial City, queue into the Imperial City. And you're like, Jake, what's going on here? Well, you have now successfully fast traveled. And this also works in reverse, too. You can transport yourself from the Imperial City. Even if you're out in the middle of the Imperial City, you can queue into Cyrodiil, and it will take you back to Cyrodiil, which is always just fantastic in my opinion, because then you can just travel all the way back. And so if you wanted to be back at the Way Shrine to turn in your quest, it's perfect. If you're out in the Imperial City and you're just getting stressed because everyone's dying and people are dying around you, you can queue into the Imperial City and get into the Imperial City this way as well. And you'll be back right where you need to turn in your quests in too. So it makes it very easy. And again, you can pre-complete the quests too. But everyone, thank you guys so much again for watching. And thank you to everyone that knew that yesterday was my birthday. The fact that you guys remembered is also actually really funny, because I sometimes feel like I just make these statements and I'm like, oh, people do remember the things that I post in my own videos. So thank you guys for that. Thank you for all the wishes. Thank you for watching. As always, we're doing our 3 giveaway drawings. All you need to do to enter is leave a like on the video and leave a comment. Second thing is just make sure you're subscribed for an additional drawing. And the third thing is look for a hidden word be flashed upon the screen. If you're the first person to find and comment that word, you will win. Thank you guys one last time. It's been a fantastic Monday, and I'll catch you later. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.